Stay out of this, don't get involved again. Question mark. It's not good for you. What are you talking about? You know exactly what I'm talking about. Just take a deep breath and calm down. Why don't we talk about this in a friendly manner like adults, face to face. Anyway. Don't say I didn't warn you. It's all on you now. Alright. Interesting. But yeah, let's continue on with the actual game. Wow, we're in the bookstore just instantly. I was expecting some sort of, I guess we live next to the bookstore, or on the same building as it, so. Alright. Looks like things are worse than expected. That's so much game sound, jeez. Let's try it down a bit. Alright. Scarlet's fingernails sink deep into the wind table. I hear the sound of wood creaking beneath my feet. It's becoming increasingly unpleasant. Come on, calm down. Calm down? It's not like Salil and Elise. Other students may have been exposed to this instance too. Do you understand how serious this is? Actually, we should have realized it earlier. Elise already said that everyone is under the pressure because expectation is so high. It's unnormal for them to be so confident when it comes to serious competition. Something seemed off from the get-go. According to Salil, she experienced hallucinations from a different perspective. Her classmate seems to have made impressive progress when it comes to painting from strange perspectives, and has improved her spatial awareness. It's not hard to form a connection here. Of course, there's no definitive evidence, it's all just guesswork. The number of people who have had similar experiences has increased. She puts her head in her hands and groans. If that's true, I'd rather not get involved in this. Let's find a way to prove our suspicion instead of playing about all day. That shouldn't be too difficult. We can just keep an eye out for our club students who have made some progress when it comes to their paintings. Did you ask me to come here today to scare me? I wish I had that kind of spare time. You left such a hurry yesterday that wasn't any time to discuss this in more detail. To be honest, I don't think we have any time to waste. That sounds serious. I assume you found out something big yesterday? You could say that. I think I've just gained some insight. So what is it? We spent a lot of time and energy on this already. If my assumption's right, proof our theories should be much easier to find than we expected. We're progressing faster than I thought, huh? I got my notebook. Scarlet sits up straighter. She seems more composed again. She knows that a calm approach is the only way to work such a case. How is this related to Salil's hallucination? How to prove the connection? Oh, gameplay! Okay. Some to Elise. Underneath is a pure white exterior. Phoenix High School is something bad. Can't find out more. She saw something that happened in her vision, but Salil said that Elise isn't getting visions. A painting in a pool of blood. In the vision, Salil saw Elise lie in a pool of blood. Pictures of the painting were scattered around the unconscious student. I feel like that's gonna be relevant somehow. How many do we have? Oh boy, we've got a lot. So what, 8? 8 and 3 are right. I'll put this in for now. We might take it off later. Salil's decision. Elise has been standing up for her, join a club. Elise chose to suffer alone. I don't think that helps at all. What is this? Until a scary monster called the Silkworm knows read everything. I don't see how that's one's relevant at all. Move their soul through time. Maybe. In the conversation with Elise, it became obvious that she's very fond of Salil. However, she also thinks that her friend should be more confident. She thinks Salil being too forgiving of the opposite result. Maybe. The name Lily was written in the corner, and there were signs of serious damage to the painting. I mean, this seems relevant. Scarlet discovered a certain watercolor painting. Yeah, I'll add that one. But I don't see how that one's relevant. First case of fraud in the elite art club. She was accused of plagiarized. She eventually lost the competition. I don't see a direct connection there. So we iron but not steel? I think high school is hiding something bad, so I mean, indirectly, I mean, they are hiding this. So I could add the Yukai Cup. Is there anything else I could add in a roundabout fashion like that? Probably one of these books, but I don't know why or how. I do see 3 lamps in the top right corner, so I'm assuming I've got 3 chances to get this right. I don't know if I like that. Oops. No, I want to keep it, but... Alright, hold A to submit. It's correct that travelers passed it on this recipe over time. I mean, that one could be relevant. Well, that's with the, that's the incense. So might be the other question that's gonna be helpful for. This one I have no idea. That's nothing to do with Elise, that's with, Salil. She saw something that actually happened in her vision. I mean, that ties to that, I guess. I don't know. I'd like to submit it, see if it's wrong, and we'll go from there. The 4 misdeeds of the Art Association, okay. Did I actually do that right? I had 0 confidence in that, but alright. Okay. That's one possibility. A dependable one at that. So I'm gonna get a screenshot of this. We're out of, how do I unhide the UI? Oh no. I've broken the game. Oh, okay, A to unhide it. Okay. Just want to get some screenshots for when I actually have thumbnails, but... Alright. As we all know from the description of hallucination, Elise suffered a serious injury. In that particular hallucination, Elise fell to the ground, lying there alongside her painting. The details were so distinctive that they leave no doubt. That painting is one called Bloom. Now it's believed that Elise is the artist, meaning that there are 2 possible scenarios. Elise either plagiarized someone else's work, or she simply took back what was hers in the first place. Oh, okay, so... this painting was actually Elise's. I guess that makes sense. That, Lily submitted. Okay. From what I've got from various documents, we shouldn't point the figure at Elise, but at a girl named Lily. That would rule out scenario number 1. I wonder if the person who exposed the whole thing to the Young Artists Association was even in that club. In short, Elise's injury was related to her having made the painting. In the hallucination, Elise is lying at the bottom of the stairs. I reconfirmed that with Salil. Although she couldn't see much, she's absolutely certain about that. So, let's note this down. Bottom of the stairs, not top, on the ground. Only logical conclusion is that she fell down the stairs. Yet, strangely, Salil sees Elise with blood behind her head. I highly doubt she ran down the stairs backwards. So possible scenarios could that lead to that situation? I think of two. Someone pushed her from above, or someone pulled her from behind. I was gonna say someone hit her in the back of the head with a baseball bat, but that works too. Both seem unusually extreme, considering it's only about a painting. Falling down the stairs, pretty common case of injury. Makes sense to drop painting when someone like that happens. Eventually, if Salil isn't on the best speaking terms with others, it shouldn't be too hard to confirm that an accident like that took place last semester. You mean this could have been the event that led to Lily leaving the school to continue her studies at home? The two students I talked to also alluded to the fact that her parents would have had enough influence to keep a lid on the whole plagiarizing incident. Even if people gossip, it's all just an art competition in the end. As long as the people involved don't talk about it openly, and nobody approaches the media, there's no way it could turn such a big thing. So, things are going well, but the accident led to Lily having to leave the school as quietly as possible. So they're allowed to stay home to keep this incident from being exposed? It's all just speculation, but from what we gathered, it makes a lot of sense. Scarlet seems to agree. Did Lily do it? Does seem too far-fetched. So, this is as far as we get with what we have so far. I'll follow up on the incident and verify if a few of the smaller things. Maybe the situation will be clear after that. Do you plan on visiting school again? It's too early for that. If I show up again too soon, it might cause suspicion. First, I'll find a way to check into the school's administrative directors. Doing things the official way. Alright, there's one more thing you should keep an eye out for, and that is incense. I know as much as possible about it, how far it's already spread, if this kind of thing is also popular among students outside the art club. This situation is much worse than we thought. There was that thing about Elise's relative. You believe that? Scarlet looks stunned and doesn't seem to share my thoughts. I can understand that someone with a modern upbringing like her might have difficulty grasping older traditions. Double incense being sold as a finished product needs to go through cleaning, drying, cementation, and other processes. Needless to say, it's quite complex. Looking at it from that angle, the incense Salil showed me is quite rudimentary. The powder should have been put into a mold and pressed before wrapped in paper. Although the color looked different, its contents resembled wood chips. It should be classified as incense wood powder. Which raises a new question. Process Hermitage. In our country, the use of incense that retains its natural appearance and features was popular around the time before Han Dynasty. Yeah, I guess Dynasty, alright. Many pieces of wood need to be burned in containers along with charcoal, which is an arduous procedure. The product basically evolves into a scented piece of wood shaped like a, kind of like a chopstick. If it's made into powder and mixed with honey, the further process with spices, it can be shaped freely, but it can also be conveniently used for further cooking and baking. The aroma is more mellow. As a result, it's faster to make more, and variety is possible. Think about ease what's used today, for example, when it's lit in graveyards. It's much more convenient. In addition, there's a long-running practice of using powdered wood to burn incense, which requires some sort of container. The traditional use of incense is still around, and these applications are not so difficult to find and buy. Yeah, I see those small stoves online all the time, and they're pretty cheap. Back when I investigated the countryside, I saw an old man with a small portable stove and box they used to carry incense wood power. An unexpectedly reliable and practical device. Those are basically ways to make incense that developed here in China. Oh, we're in China, not Japan. Oh, okay. Thought we're in Japan the entire time. Cool, so I know nothing about where we are. I thought I at least knew something. Nope, okay. However, the production process of lilac grass is more common in Japan and Thailand. And that's why I thought we were in Japan. That, and this is a very Japanese-looking game, to be honest. It's got a bit of, like, Danganronpa elements to it. The art style seems very Persona, which are two Japanese games. But here we are. Why would an old man in this country have a traditional recipe that's not all traditional here in China? Do you think Elise isn't telling us the truth about where it came from? I do. And roughly in which way the incense was rolled didn't look like it was mass-produced. Then it's highly suspicious, and she's the one supplying it. It's dangerous. We are volatile creatures. If we offend a cheap way to make our troubles disappear, we don't care if it's a cure or curse. Salilla's a perfect example. It's hard to believe, and if it were me, I'd probably try to find some more wealthy and less troublesome adult customers. Well, now thinking about it, Phoenix High School is full of kids from rich families. Scarlet size and readjusted sunglasses. If I have to ask around for it, I might make a little more noise than usual. I hope that you're okay with that. Just try to alert people responsible. We don't want them to become suspicious and make things a whole lot more difficult for us. How about talking to one of the students again? That could be kind of difficult. But hey, I'll find a way. Just sit tight until I know more. I really think Scarlet should work as a private investigator. I don't think I've ever been brave enough to tell her that, though. Her being a lawyer and so good at field work at the same time is really challenging for my professional awareness. These past few days have been really hard on you. No biggie. Scarlet puts papers back in her bag. By the looks of it, she doesn't intend to take off after me either. She is so caught up in talking about her plans, I barely say anything. Sometimes effort and results aren't in proportion. I'll look at the ceiling and try to rest my real eyes for a while. Reading always requires time. The more complicated books obviously take longer to finish. Books dropped off by the mysterious stranger aren't entertaining and don't make for good reading material. Sometimes the writing style is obscure, sometimes important references or even huge chunks of a chapter are missing. In a couple cases, I can't even make out what the texts are about because they break seemingly every real basic language. For professional reasons, I've had exchanges with a variety of experts and archaeological scholars in the past. For people like us, piecing together and trying to understand confusing ancient books is nothing new. I dare say we even enjoy the process. Old-fashioned, elaborate phrases have accompanied me for most of my life. The pain in mind doesn't really have anything to do with them. My brain instinctively refuses to read more, just like a child covering its ears to escape a ghost story. Doesn't make any sense, so I'm especially reluctant to give up so too easily. If I put them on the market, I'm afraid they'd cause a lot of turmoil. The mysterious man hasn't done anything wrong so far, but there's something off about him. Always speaking in riddles. It's no good. My head will explode if I keep reading. Looks like you've stumbled upon something that's piqued your interest. What? The guy with poker face is standing at the work desk. With all due respect, the security measures here are far from perfect. You should be careful. Oh, just let them come. I don't mind sharing these books with anybody. So, what are you up to today? I just have to pass by. I told you quite clearly I'd visit again at the appropriate time. You seem to want to check on the sales. Sad none of the copies you brought have been sold. That's only half true, of course. I won't allow these books out of my sight. They are somewhere in the most obscure corner of the shelf, accompanied by the most massive, tedious dictionaries I know. Really? What a pity. People only turn their heads to enjoy cliches, although things true value are right in front of them. It's one of the greatest tragedies of this era. Reading cheap knowledge of fools is much more entertaining than reading your books. You may not believe it, but they were cheap indeed. Huh? I thought they'd be a more interesting backstory to them, after all. None but the most and eccentric collectors would hold on to these. It may be true, but their son didn't seem that way. Made a bet. Trying to impress ladies. Kids be kids. Children from a family of scholars are no exception. It's better to learn how to cope with losses early in life. That kid should be thankful I taught him that lesson before he was let loose on society. Why disguise as a bet to teach someone? Why not just be a little more honest? Insolent boy. This slave of fashion, bask in your glory, arrogant fool. The brave young suitor, sharing my triumph. You mean, ignorant fool? I didn't know you were familiar with musicals. Once you've been around long enough, there are a few quotes that just stick with you. What about you? Do you enjoy the theater? I haven't watched a play in a long time. Never really developed a habit of watching them. The last time was probably in school, apart from writing and editing short stories myself. Drama. I like a good drama. Stage play is my favorite. The actors value the mask so much. Before they step on stage, they carefully take the mask out to a box and hold it in front of their face, as if to whisper to the mask that they're about to become one. He waves his hands as he talks, highly engaged in the subject matter. Abandon your own self, fully inherit the spirit of the book, and its thoughts become your own. It's a respectful fashion, isn't it? The mysterious visitor flashes at me a strange smile. I don't have time to indulge right now. I should move the conversation forward as soon as possible. I mean, apply knowledge. I'm for trying to get this as quick as possible. But I want to go 3 here, I think. I think 2 is probably the best, but doesn't get through this conversation at all. I think let's just show them what we know, I guess. And apply knowledge. Let's do it. Indeed, people like that are much more appreciated back in the day. I wish I could experience it for myself. While the words are still just rich, isn't it remotely the same experience? Same as experiencing it in the audience firsthand. Unfortunately, that's what religion is. It's an art almost entirely lost to tides of time. What we get today are mostly pale, shallow imitations. It pains to see how we treat our cultural heritage. It seems as if we aren't as advanced as we like to think. We're only borrowing from days past, and there's a limit to what we can do. You're right. Simply being able to see that one step is already one step in the right direction. Perhaps a natural overstep in the limit would become at a huge cost of performance. The way it is now might be healthier in the long run. You've really given us a lot of thought. It's just that some things are better left in the past. Humanity should shift its focus on what lies ahead instead. Anyway, I see you have no intention of giving up. At least my visit enabled me to confirm that. He rearranges his collar and meets my gaze under the brim of his hat. I have some personal business to tend to, so I'll be leaving now. Please, treat these books properly. That's all I can do. Despite those words, the uninvited visitor never even glanced at what was actually on offer in the shop. He leaves after making such a meaningful statement. The sounds of his leather shoes soon disappears behind the door. An unsettling premonition begins to arise in my heart. I thought we were talking to Salil. Well, this isn't good. Still hasn't written back yet. Her school shouldn't have as strict guidelines concerning mobile phones. and it wouldn't be inappropriate to ask Scarlet about this. Regardless whether Scarlet pull it off, if she visits school too often, the possibility of her being discovered will grow. It's not worth the risk. It was a mistake not to ask for Elise's phone number yesterday. That way I would have at least had a second rival option right now. To be honest, it wouldn't have even mattered if it was a rival or not. It would have been better than nothing. My right eye started twitching uncontrollably at the thought. Although it's probably just from the strain of being in such a dark environment, it's easier to let my mind wander. Should I call Salil? I take my phone and make a quick call to Salil via messaging software. I think people seem to be more used to that than properly dialing out a number. If I remember correctly, the other person will receive a call request, and then... Huh? Ringtone. If this is coincidence, delete my phone. I walk towards the door and confirm my suspicion. Oh, she's not dead. Oh. Alright, I thought she was just gonna be hanging in front of the door. Okay, this is not Doki Doki Literature Club. Oh, good God. Elise and Steele are standing in front of the door, not saying a word. They're holding hands and look rather disheveled as they walk towards me, one slow step at a time. It's as if Elise is guiding Steele along, but she looks just as unstable on her feet and seems like she might fall in a moment. Neither of them bow their heads in greeting. Instead, their eyes are just staring right at me. The only part of their bodies that seems steady. Even so, I don't feel watched. Their eyes are simply fixed on me, as if observing something that has nothing to do with them. They're just staring at something that happens to be me. Seeing their empty gazes, I suddenly realize a terrible fact. Elise and Salil aren't even in this world at all. Okay, so on the incense. Elise turns her head slightly and makes a strange sound. She is talking. Common sense forces me to understand that. Even if a human message makes such sound, the sound of these two glass shards rubbing against each other can hardly be called a word. I'm not sure to that voice line. Slow does respond first. The corners of her mouth keep twitching. I can still hear the ringtone for her phone. Shit. God knows how long they've been waiting at the front door, just staying there. I'm afraid that even the most indifferent of neighbors might have called the police. It's a miracle that they're able to walk all the way here. It's as if the whole world's forgotten about the two of them. Before I can think about it any further, I grab both of them by the arm and drag them to the store. The ominous premonition that has been lingering in my mind since this morning has turned into a terrible situation I experienced firsthand. The cramped space seems to have a strange effect, despite the fact that there are now 3 people in this tight space. I can hear our heartbeats. Things aren't going well, but somehow I begin to calm down. I pick up Salil's arm and gently tap her arm near the elbow. The motion causes her to curl her arm suddenly. Her reflexes are still there, so simple, straightforward body functions don't seem to affect at all. At least not yet. When you think about it, people sometimes walk automatically, even if you're dragging them along. Maybe that's how Elise pulled Salil in front of the door, little by little. I try to snap my fingers from their eyes, and they redirect their gaze, but that's still a response. Needless to say, they're clearly subdued. Their physical state is similar to the effect of the incense that Salil once described it to me. Even if I don't want to speculate in this direction, reality does not leave me much of a choice. So the situation isn't completely desperate yet. As long as I can transfer information to them, I can try to evoke some kind of response. I've had enough to deal with. I had to deal with a lot of stuff in life. Before I knew it, I was pretty experienced in terms of psychological analysis. This may prove to be a complete failure, since the source of symptoms stems from other than this world. The chance of a blind cat running into a dead rat would actually be higher. I get up and close the door, settle the girls faces to face in the chair, and hold up our hands. As mentioned before, holding hands is the most straightforward way to create a connection. Only if there were a psychologist here right now. I can hope that my superficial knowledge of this will work. Elise, Sleel, take a deep breath. You can see a bright beam of light in front of you. This is a magical formula. The people who taught me these crude hypnosis techniques said that the process itself doesn't really matter. The key to success is to create an environment in which people are willing to listen and accept. Not only it's risky, it's not even safe. As a rule, one needs to feel confident and secure. Although friendships can support people through hardships, they can also be toxic. If they have any hard feelings against each other hidden in their hearts, then touching each other's hands will only be counterproductive. I'm taking with faith here. Now, on the count of 3, you will feel the burden disappear completely. 1, 2, 3. The tension in the air begins to ease up. Something odd seems to fly over my head in the room. How do I do a confident, depressed voice whilst hallucinated? Jesus. Let's try it. Don't me again. Look. Don't look at me. Elise closes her eyes and mumbles something, but her breathing sounds smoother and stronger now. Sister. I'm sorry. For some reason, Syl looks at Elise apologetically and squeezes her hand tightly. After a long moment, the girl turns her head and an unreadable expression on her face. I'm back again, Mr. Store Manager. Welcome, although the store is closed right now. Can't even remember the last time I wanted some truth this badly. That's it? Wow. Sorry, I haven't restocked quite some time. We'll need to improvise when it comes to food. Cold noodles it is then. The sky has gone completely black. The shop is dark and cramped. Not exactly the best environment for 2 girls, especially in their current condition. That's why I let them stay at my place. Not sure how legal that's going to be to bring high school students who are clearly, I guess, under the influence into your room, but we'll ignore that. Elise is lying on a makeshift bed with her eyes closed. She'd probably keep on sleeping like a stone if I'd caused such ruckus right now. She must be exhausted. Sleel sitting on a small chair right next to Elise. The way she's holding Elise's hand makes it look like a scene in a weird hospital ward. She still hasn't moved? No, I tried calling her by name, but she didn't react. She shakes her head and looks at her friend with great concern. Don't worry about too much. I don't mean to boast, but I'm quite confident in my skills. Should be okay. I called a friend to bring some medicine. She's already on her way here. It'll be fine. Skylar agreed to help immediately. That's probably because she's personally invested in this as well. To be honest, I'm hesitant to pat myself on the back just yet. Things are still pretty bad. But this is not time to panic. Sleel nods absent-mindedly. It's easy to cope with the fact that someone you like is in a coma. And this isn't even the last of that. I'm really sorry, Mr. Store Manager. I'm so sorry. Today don't apologize to me. It wasn't inconvenience or anything. It's not like the shop's overflowing with customers. You should only apologize yourself. It won't sugarcoat it. There are tough times ahead. I know you're too smart to know people's advice and act recklessly. So there must be some kind of situation or explanation for what happened. I crouched down so Sleel and I are eye level. She hasn't even eaten much today. She seems weak and frail. Can you tell me what really happened? Sleel doesn't answer immediately. She leans forward and gently strokes Elise's hair. For a moment, she seems lost in a world far removed from feelings such as joy or sorrow. There is a an inscrutable expression on her face. Mr. Store Manager, can you, promise me one thing? I mean, that depends. What's the request? Oh, she doesn't speak. She must have gone over in her head mold many times. Whatever I say, please just forgive Elise, okay? Ding dong bing bong? Has there been a body discovered? That is the exact sound effect for freaking Danganronpa. Alright. Give him like a gumshoe voice, I guess. That concludes our club activities for today, pal. Remember to clean up for yourself. If you want to continue painting, go ahead. But forget about the, last one and close the door. Class dismissed, pal. Busy as usual at the art club today. Orderly, quiet, structured, nothing's changed. Although the problem has been entrusted to a man outside school, the situation has changed yet. Salil keeps giving her to herself and doesn't complain. These issues need to be solved one after another. Solving one problem won't make another one disappear. Everything has to be done in order. Impatience doesn't help at all. So you need to keep in mind and treat the people around you well. That's what Salil was taught. So her patience knows no bounds. Even so, she carries the anxiety with her that she just can't shake. You're on cleanup duty, aren't you, birthday girl? It's so much work, though. Just go, That one's always laughing and smiling. How annoying. Perhaps just me. Salil shakes her head in severe frustration and organizes her tools. It's her birthday today. For some reason, that girl thinks she can shirk her duties because it's her birthday. Salil decides to take over the girl's duties, knowing full well not to expect any gratitude or appreciation. Salil isn't angry with Elise at all. Having a report to the teacher for an important project, and then following up on that with 3 study appointments in the afternoon, is more than enough justification to leave early. Salil doesn't rent the teacher either. At his age, he must be under a lot of stress too. He's probably reached his breaking point. At her previous school, some people thought that she was being too tolerant. Salil never considered this a flaw, though. And just like that, she's suddenly the last person in the room. Usually, several students stay at the practice. They aren't very chatty, and Salil often feels anxious when they're around. Is there some sort of school activity going on? Everybody's gone. I mean, I guess I'll just finish this. It's unjust, but at least she can avoid trouble this way. She carefully puts away the chalk and the board eraser, repositions the crooked desk, and closes the window. Next up is the unbelievably large heap on the floor. People think it's always clean and neat here, but when dozens of students get together and throw ideas and concepts around, there's bound to be a lot of ideas that land in the trash. Waste paper, canvases, wood chips, and it's obviously some oil paint that got spilled. Since it isn't an airy room, since it isn't an airy room, it's starting to smell a little. But there isn't a lot of dust from outside either. A blessing and a curse. Salil walks to the locker in the back of the room to get the broom. The whole locker is filled with red paint. Despite the obvious difference in smell, there are deep hues and still eerily reminiscent of blood. This is just too much. It's semi-dry and there's so much of it, it was obviously done on purpose. So they're messing with her, but that's not the point. Salil seemed bothered looking for a motive for the prank. Why does somebody even do this? Even if just knows Salil, this affects everyone. The whole glass is gonna suffer this pungent smell. Think about others. Salil grabs the mop and rags and begins scrubbing the inside of the locker. She could just refuse to do it and leave it. She's not duty today. No, I'm putting more pressure on Elise. Who knows what type of pranks they'll come up with if she decides to show any sign of resistance. She doesn't want Elise to have to worry about her anymore than she already does. This will end well. Still smart enough to know that. But there's no way out of this right now. Before joining the club, Salil just wanted a place where she belongs. Even in the current situation, she doesn't want to let go. Even the upper corners of the locker are full of paint. She has to hurry up, otherwise it'll be possible to get the stains out. Salil shuffles around, doing her best to clean up the mess. Then suddenly, a hand shoves her into the locker. What? She's stuck in the locker. Acting on instinct, there's only one reaction that makes sense to her. She kicked against the door from the inside. It's no use, since blocking the door. This is more harmless prank. Who's out there? She starts shouting, and kicks against the door again. Whoever's out there won't answer. She can hear the panicked footsteps, the sound of someone running away. Let me out! Knock, knock, knock. It won't budge. Her small frame can't do anything against the obstacle. Knock, knock, knock. It won't budge. Flash of dizziness. She's afraid she won't be able to breathe if she keeps this up. She's panicking, which is draining her even more of her strength. Her ankles are sore, and her hands are sweaty. She can't turn her body around. Slowly leans against the locker wall. Her whole body is shaking and being overtaken by panic. She cuts herself, but she completely ignores it. She leans forward against her cold locker. Please, help! Huh? She hears footsteps again. This time, further in the distance. Who's out there probably thinks Leo's quieting down. Hey, it's me. The voice sounds muffled through the heavy door, but it's clearly a girl talking. Well, it's done. He scared the shit out of me. I didn't think she'd be this strong. So concentrates. Is that over the art club? Oh, never mind. It's not Elise. I thought it'd be Elise. Let's give her the girl 1 voice then. Or girl A, girl B. She's locked up now. That should teach her a lesson. What? I don't care what happens, okay? I have it under control. I told you we had a problem if anything came out. It sounds as if she's talking to someone on the phone. Slowly reaches her pocket, but quick remembers that she put her things in a drawer. But if she had a way to call Elise, she'd probably come rushing over immediately. But what if the relationship between Elise and the club members gets even worse because of this? Maybe it's better this way. Everything's fine. I can wash my hands in a minute. She's still talking, walking around the room. She sounds pretty anxious. What I mean is it really necessary to take things this far? Okay, I know, but not my decision. But I'm not comfortable with this. I don't think it was that big of a deal. It's no joke. The teacher can't find out about this. No big deal. Is what this is to them? Still feels rage right up inside of her. Suddenly, the voice outside sounds louder and more energetic. Don't even mention that! I only promised to help because I owe you. There's a sound metal on the floor. Several chairs are being dragged across the floor. What if the representative finds out, huh? Don't keep pushing me. Her voice is filled with anger. Slowly expects a sudden outburst to happen at any moment. But it doesn't. There are sudden chairs being dragged around again, and there's an abrupt silence. No, I didn't mean that. Don't be like that. Don't. I'm sorry, okay? Just don't tell the teacher. Okay, I promise. It's just a little excessive. Her face quickens all of a sudden, and then the sound fades away. Where she is, she's left the classroom. Although it was interesting to listen on them, it isn't really helpful in the situation. The adrenaline that was rushing through Scylla is fading away, and she is left with nothing but an intense feeling of exhaustion. She has to calm down and think of a way out of here. Scylla sighs hopelessly, surrounded by inky blackness. There's no way for her to get out of here. She'd better save her strength. Even though there's no other meetings to schedule today, somebody will come looking for her if she's missing for too long, right? That's her only ray of hope right now. That some class member who probably doesn't care about any of this will notice. She needs to do this without Elise's help. She can't drag her into this, no matter what. This is probably going to take a while, locked up in a dark, cramped place. Wait a minute. Just now, Slu realizes that her body feels somehow weird. It's just a regular locker. The doors shouldn't be strong enough to keep a person locked up. Huh? Her arms and knees feel weak. She doesn't have any strength left. The smell of wet paint is seeping into her brain, and she's having a hard time breathing. Her bursts of breath are getting shorter every time she inhales. The endless darkness makes everything much worse. Help! It feels as if her hands are grabbing her limbs, holding her back. She feels a wave of helplessness crash over her. The more powerless she feels, the more her mind starts playing tricks on her. Suffocation. That's all she's thinking about right now. And it's getting worse by a second. Invisible hands are choking her, grabbing her by the throat. She faint locks in its door. There's no response. Please, help me. The walls are closing in around her. She can't move. They're coming closer and closer, like a coffin wrapping itself around her body. Coffin. That's the word in her mind. That she pushes over the edge. She's trembling, pearls of cold sweat dribbling for her pale, panicked face. Dark, dark, dark. The endless darkness opens its huge jaws. Those things are nearby. They are everywhere, crawling over Scylla's legs, whispering to her ears. Her body is completely paralyzed and refuses to move so much as an inch. Dark, dark, dark. 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 Words fail her, and that darkness swallows her whole. Hey, pull yourself together. Scylla is painting, her eyes wide open. She's covered from head to toe in cold sweat and grabs Celeste's hand without not even noticing it. She clutches it so tightly it almost turns blue. She looks down at the pale hand and quickly loosens her grip. I'm sorry. It's a good thing her hand brought you back consciousness. On a side note, Scylla always seems a little nervous in the bookstore. If she's claustrophobic, that explains it. And from that point on, you weren't really conscious of what you were doing. It felt weird, different somehow. But I can't really remember what happened. I only remember that it was a very dark and narrow, so narrow that I couldn't breathe. Although I've always been afraid of enclosed spaces, I've never ever felt such an intense fear before. I tried to open the door, but it wouldn't budge. The uncertainty of when or if I was getting out was horrible. Next thing I know, Elise rescued me. Hello? Anybody? An eclipsing fog slowly disappears, and her field of vision suddenly clears up. She can hear the faint sound of music coming from somewhere. It all seems unreal. What time is it? It feels as if a whole century has passed. Scylla's lost all track of time and opens her eyes. Then she finally recognizes that faint voice come from outside. Are you awake? Elise looks sad and worried. Elise, What's going on in here? If I hadn't tried to contact you, I have never known you were... Elise sounds worried and angry at the same time. Although she's doing her best to restrain herself, Scylla can still feel the rage burn inside of her, directing whoever did this. Scylla can't help but think that this could be the chance to lay everything bare, a chance to avoid trouble like this from now on. But no. It doesn't matter, Elise. It was just a silly prank. She raised her hand and touched Elise's face. Sure enough, there's a cut on her left hand. The sticky blood running all over her palm is confirmation enough. The windows are covered in a red hue as the sun sets majestically over the mountains in the distance. Everything is okay now. Elise here, even through the shock, is still fresh in her mind. Scylla has never felt so at peace before. So at peace. An all too familiar smell drifts into the room. Elise? When did you... You mean the incense? You were twitching when you were unconscious. It seemed as if you were going through something horrible. So I thought some incense might calm you down. Elise seems clearly out of it. She's holding some incense in her hand. No wonder Scylla's body felt weak and floaty. Being exposed to incense leads to a dulling of senses and makes you lose your bodily awareness. Scylla feels bad. She hasn't even forgotten her promise to the store manager and the advice he gave her. These hallucinations the last 10 days have been horrible, and all the more reason to take a step back and be more careful. Elise, maybe we shouldn't... She tries to, but her body's too weak, and she isn't in control of her limbs. Elise takes Salil's hand and pulls her into a hug. A warm darkness shrouds Salil's vision. Elise's steady heartbeat feels like a warm lighthouse beacon, guiding her. Don't worry, this is all you need right now. But, incense does calm her, that much is true, and right now, it's helping Salil get her rapidly beating heart and irregular breathing under control. However, Elise's words sound strange, almost slurred somehow. Are you worried about those things? Seeing those things? That question roused Salil. She hasn't even really talked about those things before. How does Elise know? For some reason, Elise smiles, but it almost looks melancholic. Man, I have no idea how to say that. I've never heard that word before. Melancholic, sure. I've seen those before, you know. Those phantoms. Human things, all kinds of scenes, in all kinds of time and space. I've seen it all. So what? Those phantoms are nothing more than illusions. Why worry about something that isn't real? So, what exactly is she up to? Salil doesn't understand Elise's agenda here. Elise seems to be looking straight through her. Salil, you're the only thing that's real, and I'm the only one who's always been there for you. Elise suddenly looks away and avoids Salil's eye contact. A little embarrassed. Salil can hear her heartbeats, a clear, constant sound. How many times has she guided her through her hallucinations? Cold fear starts closing in on Salil all of a sudden. When I enter those other worlds, time is an elusive concept. Sometimes I feel as if I've spent centuries there. So with incense, we could spend even more time together. Elise's voice is barely more than a whisper, and her cheeks turn bright red. Salil knows exactly what that feels like. Elise knows it too, yet she lied about it to others. Salil isn't sure what the true meaning behind Elise's words is, but they comfort her and give her a sense of relief. Her vision begins to blur again, and there is a familiar ring in the ears. Something more warmth is rising inside of her. Elise opens her bag and pulls out several sticks of incense. She lights up sticks on a table in front of them. Hey, wait a minute. You know, I've never been as good as you. I've had countless opportunities to make the art club a better place, but I was never successful. But you're different. The way you stay persistent inspires me. I don't think I could ever sit in the same room with people who treat me like that. I envy you so much. How do you do it? What were you like in the past? I've always been curious, and the incense satisfies that curiosity. That's right, Salil. I've seen your past. Elise keeps talking about dangerous, unnatural things. Most of all, I see persistence. But it isn't enough. Those small glimpses are enough. I want to know more. Even if we see a lot of strange, explicable? I'm saying inexplainable, because that makes more sense to my mind. Even if we see a lot of strange, inexplainable things, short bursts of pain are much better than a prolonged pain. No matter how long it takes, we should get to know each other better. Salil desperately tries to open her eyes, but it's futile. Her eyelids are too heavy. Her body's no energy left, and a wave of weariness sweeps over her. In a strange way, it's comforting. Is this who Elise really is? Really what she thinks? How peculiar. Salil feels sorry for letting the store manager down, but all she knew was apologize to him later. Then Slilla's mouth moves on its own accord. With you here, it's not so bad. For a short moment, Elise's eyes flicker open. She soon regains her composure, although she can't hide her smile. I understand. Thank you, Salil. Even after the statement, Salil finds it difficult to meet Elise's inscrutable gaze. The lilac grass is emitting soft whispers of smoke. They're so faint that you can hardly tell it's actually burning. However, everything's starting to look very different after inhaling for just a few minutes. Is it too much? The sweet, aromatic scent has changed into something that the smell of dense forest after a heavy rain night, thick enough to make Salil's head throb. Meanwhile, the faint music in her ears is turning to a strange chant. Salil doesn't recognize language, but she knows one thing. Although they sound like voices, they're not come from this world. Just like the images and smells, they're simply a manifestation of the scenes. Feeling more weighed down than ever before, Salil stops resisting and allows her eyes to fall closed. The darkness behind her eyelids is twisting to an endless, intimidating tunnel. Her feet leave the ground, and her physical senses dissipate like smoke. Her consciousness leaves her body behind, and her perception starts to fade. Suddenly, an altogether different scene manifests before her eyes. The art club's packed people. There are so many familiar faces, but more than she's ever seen before. Oh, so I get rid of the UI, the music goes away. That's interesting. Elise is arguing loudly with someone. The whole situation is pretty intense. Salil doesn't recognize the other girl, but she looks older than Elise. She's holding a fiery red water painting. Her face is twisted and angry. Elise's roar explodes in pure anger. Salil has never seen Elise this openly emotional and out of control before. The whole scene is very unsettling. Elise turns to her face the other club members, expecting some kind of reply, but no one responds. Being ignored, the very same situation Salil finds herself in way too often. Elise has reached her breaking point. The very last remains of her patience have all faded away. She grabs the canvas from the other side of the classroom and runs towards the exit. The other girls seem unbelievably offended and storms out of the room, running after Elise. Elise? The door opens and everything freezes, and then hundreds of hallucinations close in all at once. A white flock of does takes flight, and the desolate ruins of several tall buildings. 8 cheetahs dash the debris of the rubble. Countless figures are lined up, silhouetted against the sunset above an endless sea. Apes are kneeling down in front of a statue in deep devotion and worship. Silent lighting and a cloud of color and dance across the sky. Pink, fleshy pillars of meat arise from the ground, scorping like magnets. Standing on an overcast tower in the far distance, a shadowy figure spreads its arms. Electric bolts come crashing down from above, and countless fragments to the ground. Persist in Daoist robes, along thin, ant-like creatures are facing large pyramids and bowing to the sun. The visions are all over the place. There is no logic to anything, and no way to tell where and when they're taking place. There are no words, no meaning for this. It's like a glimpse into a realm unknown to humans, something so far removed from our known understanding of the world that the mind has no way of coping with it. Scarlet is there now with Elise, but the images are fading in and out of focus, like waves breaking on the beach, only to retreat back into an ocean soon after. Suddenly everything is green. Strong ferns spread across the valley, a completely different scene. A bed of leaves spread across the ground. Giant creatures, covered in feathers and scales, slowly stride past elongated legs. Every so often, they emit deep, muffled hums. There's no sign that humans ever existed. In the distant darkness, a shooting star across the sky still doesn't turn fast enough to see it properly. It's no big deal. There's no time for regret now. Even if she wanted to stop, she couldn't. She is just in control right now. The constant chanting slowly fades away and is replaced by something else. The indescribable spectacle unfolds mercilessly before Scylla's eyes. Sorry. What did you say the last thing was you saw? I just think Scylla confirmed again. I don't know. The answer, probably. She looks out the window and responds flatly. The look on her face indicates that she understood the question, but does not phrase the answer properly. I saw many things, all kinds of things. There was nothing solid there. No picture, yet it was everything I could ever imagine. It was 1,000 miles away, yet still right in front of me. There was no aurora surrounding it. No color, just existence itself, in all possible forms. Why call it the answer? I don't know. From the first moment I saw it, that's the only word that I could find to describe it. Mr. Store Manager, are you familiar with the Mobius loop? It's a very popular constant branch of mathematics called topology. It only has one side, and a boundary curve. There is one without a boundary, called the Klein bottle. Oh yeah, the Klein bottle, okay. It is a non-orientable surface, which cannot exist in a three-dimensional world. Looks like my math classes was a complete waste of time after all. You can have a Klein bottle. You can make a Klein bottle that technically has no volume, whilst be able to contain liquid. Like, that's a thing you can make, but whatever. Let's carry on here. What I saw in my hallucination was more chaotic. It was unreal. I couldn't make out its shape however long I looked at it. It was something foreign, something that doesn't follow our world's geometric rules. Every part of it was connected to every place that could possibly exist. Completely independent of each other. I don't know how to describe it, it's impossible. Lights, rules, shapes, cause and effect. Nothing compares to it. Not in this world. Straight lines aren't straight, and ends don't line up with beginnings. It's like a complex web of meaningful elements, and from any point in it, you can get to anywhere you want to be. The answer, I suppose. I don't quite get why you picked that word to describe it. It wasn't my decision. It was there long before I ever found it. Scylla raises her hand hopelessly. She's still trying to explain it. It's the beginning and the end. It's around me, and within me at the same time. It's where the time I was born, and the time I'll be laid to rest. I feel like all knowledge is there, the meaning of everything, but even that's just the tip of the iceberg. Like the Taoist concept? Saying it like that would limit it, but yeah, kinda. All things are one. I'm reminded of that phrase. It seems like a fitting way to describe the answer. So this answer you saw, and then something changed. Scylla shakes her head. It left me breathless. That much I know, but in a strange way. It was too confusing to be scary. There's just so much I simply don't understand about it. Thing is, the moment I saw it, I think I became a target. She sounds deeply depressed and can't keep the fear out of her voice. A pair of piercing blue eyes watching me from sidelines, but because I was focused on everything else, they weren't that conspicuous. Why was I the only one there? When that thought hit me, it had already been staring at me for quite a while. When I looked, its gaze followed. Every time I glanced at it, my body felt like it was turned to ice. There was a brief moment in which our eyes locked, and I saw a reflection in its eyes, and it showed me the end of everything. Torn, cut, rotten, bloodied, impaled, burned, crashed, drowned. Nothing but death and despair. I didn't know what to do, but it seemed like I was going to reach the end someday. Stella wraps her arms around herself, and I realize that her whole back is covered in sweat. Mr. Store Manager, it's horrible. If it catches up with us, it'll devour us. But that's when everything began to fall apart. A blinding light came crashing down. Brighter than 1,000 stars exploding. Only one could say that I was submerged in a lake of hallucinations, and something pulled me up. I could feel those eyes on me, follow my every move, and even with my back turned to them, I still felt their presence as I moved further away. I tried to run, but it's as if the ground itself was slowly me down, like mud. The eyes came closer. I had no choice but swim upwards, but the panic and fear robbed me of my strength and paralyzed me. I couldn't see anymore. Slowly lowers her voice, and her voice becomes more withdrawn by the second. I pat her on the shoulder. She's covered in sweat, shivering, as if she was just pulled from the water. And then, next thing you know, you're in the bookstore, right? She attempts to wipe the cold spot on her face and nods. This is my fault. Don't blame Elise, okay? Truth told, that doesn't surprise me at all. The lilac grass came from Elise. I expect that all along. But this isn't the right moment for a snarky remark. Still, this raises a lot of questions. Patch your bread on her arm, or backs up her story. Without Elise's quick assessment of the situation, Slil might still be stuck in the locker. For someone suffering from such severe claustrophobia, it's not often matter. The situation in the real world is bad enough for Slil, and his hallucinations are even more worrying. Where the hell did those eyes come from? What could be a haunting person trapped in such a strange fantasy? Usually trying to discuss any scenarios that someone experienced under the influence of hallucinogenic drugs is ridiculous. It never makes much sense. But the Slil situation isn't comparable to that, since her illusions can be traced back to reality. It's important to take into account the fact that something that appears in the illusion might have some practical meaning. Either way, we can find where this instance came from. No matter how miraculous and strange our encounters are, there's always an environmental basis for their existence. Mountains, grass sides, she sees actual biomes. So, there's at least twisted logic to it. The incense effects are even more obvious than before. I always wanted to identify the history of incense, but the clinical symptoms were a mystery to me. And there was only a limited number of information available. However, the situation changed drastically. As for the information, the strange guy who keeps delivering books has also kind of prepared some for me. Whatever his ulterior motive is, this is proof that the books have real value. It should be possible to find some records related to things Slil described. Although ancient techniques may have changed through the years, their functionality and purpose have not. First, we should find out what this instance is all about. What are the origins of the lilac grass? I like that one. So it's gonna be one of these two, obviously. Or three, I guess. I do like that one. Look into the void until a monster called... I don't know if I like that one. Slil finally confessed why she had the dream. Where exactly does the incense that causes this mysterious experience come from? disagree with that one. I'll add it. Right? Of this powder that the Taoist priests... Civilization, that's why I know that word. Okay. Not that I've ever known how to pronounce it, but... Something's definitely happened. And this is about going back to the past, right? Yeah, move their soul through time. So it's not that, it's gonna be one of these three. She arrives somewhere in the universe. I think I like that one. The past flashed before our eyes. It's gonna be one of these two, if not both of them. Well, we're just trying to figure out where it originated from, right? I don't know how that one's relevant at all. She arrived somewhere within the universe where the law of space-time transcended anyone's imagination. Afterwards, a pair of inhuman eyes appeared and started... I like that one. The problem is, I don't really know what I'm doing. While she explained her vision, still described real details that a student like her could not have known about. Right? And this moves their soul through time, or that travelers passed it on. Right? So, like, if their souls passing through time, they could look at the past and look at events that they wouldn't have known about. So I like those two. It's gonna be one of these two, I just don't know which one. I'm trying to make an argument for this one, but I can't. Salil had a bizarre experience. The past flashed before her eyes. She arrived somewhere within the universe where the laws of time and space transcended anyone's imagination. So for time, that goes against the laws of physics and time and space. Because, like, I feel like it's gonna be that one, but I don't know why it wouldn't be this one. Whoever will submit it, get it wrong, and then I'll switch them out, I guess. Let's look how things are connected. Confirming the incense origin requires relevant proof. Theories and evidence are key to this case. The main effect of this lilac grass is that it causes hallucinations. Most of the people using it want it to happen. Therefore, when someone describes this incense, their main focus is hallucinations. Oh, it doesn't even tell me. Oh, no. It's not even like, hey, you got two of these wrong. Because, like... Can I read... No, I can't read that again. Oh, no. Well, someone at least tell me if some of them are right. I mean, it can't be that. It just can't be that. And it has to be one of these two, if not both of them. I mean, if it's not this, I don't know what to do. Because that makes sense to me. Those two be tied together. Okay. See, I figured as much, but I just couldn't get rid of that other option. It doesn't make sense to me why it's not relevant. I figured it was gonna be, but I just couldn't make an explanation for that. Allegres returns to its land of origin. That's it. The use of incense provides an illusion which reflects a situation from the past. Skull and I verified this early on. Time frames seem to vary. It's hard to pinpoint which point in time a hallucination takes place. Moreover, still talk about the incense's common effect, yet also seems to cause panic anxiety at times. There are countless hallucinogenic potions, but I can't find an example of a drug that makes you go back in time. Some more traditional herb medicines that, according to the book, ancient prescriptions, arguably originate from Lazui's Tao Te Ching. Remind me of that. But that's so far removed from the past ancestor had thought. Siam. That's the ancient Thailand, if I recall correctly. A country where religious culture prevails, Thailand's a rich national heritage. Traditional incense burned in more of a liquid form. Being changed into incense powder over the course of many years sounds plausible. Salil, have you ever read this Tao Te Ching?
Sure, we learned about it at school. Why do you ask?
It's been long since I read this, so I forgot my text. Do you happen to remember what comes after the Nameless is?
Well, the Nameless is the beginning of heaven and earth. The name is another mother of things. That's about the gist of it.
The passage is often mentioned together with the phrase, "The name that can be told is not the eternal name. The Tao is an elusive concept describing a way." If you look at it from a different angle, it can be understood that as a discovery of an indescribable answer found in the midst of confusion visions. The incense you at least used. It reminds me of something I once read about Lazuli during my travels.
Huh? Wait, what?
Daoists were highly respected for their herbal medicine. Potions, teas, elixirs, incense. Even emperors of old employed their services. To that knowledge... That's nice about knowledge, right? I'm not crazy? Maybe it is. I don't know anymore. I'm pretty sure it's nice about knowledge, but I mean, that's a different word I don't know about. The knowledge faded away somewhat over time, and nowadays, it's a rare remnant of the past. In the beginning, due to the low dosage, the incense was only used to spiritually go back in time. You at least obviously used too high of a dose. The general idea of what the incense would be used for lies underneath.
I see. You're saying...
Although you gave the description intuitively, you were calling ancient concepts. As I said, the answer is the way. Salil's eyes widened. Even though it sounds messy and confusing, Salil seems to understand the general idea of what I'm saying. After all, Salil described her journey in great detail. I think there may be some correlation between her experience in the spiritual realm. Incense serves to let people experience the past spiritually. If you go back in time too far, you'll leave the past human civilization behind, and eventually Earth itself. Now, if you go so far back in time that will reach the end of time, what do you see? If time itself comes to an end, the way in which we perceive time and space together may no longer match. That's a possibility, right? She sits there in silence. Finally, she gives a small nod. By now, it's easy for me to separate lies from truth. Even if Salil had known about the incense's effects in the very beginning, she wouldn't have come up with hallucinations just bend my existing theories and suspicions. The fact that she doesn't know anything about the book Ancient Prescriptions is further proof of this. In other words, I can trust that she accurately described what she saw. A formula like that must be very important. Obviously, it's been preserved as a way to stay in touch with ancient ancestors who are treated as deities nowadays. Another possibility is that someone stole the formula and made adjustments to it in order to hide from other people. Those eyes you speak of might be a clue. I can't say I've ever time traveled, but it seems familiar. I've seen something similar somewhere. But it could be closer to an answer than I think. Oh my god, there's more. I was not expecting more already. Okay. We can't have much left. Obviously it's that one. That one's new. I would say that one as well, because it's to do with eyes. Maybe it doesn't have anything to do with that one. So Lilik encountered a presence in her vision and is in critical condition. How do I find out what the presence really is? Lilac grass is probably a variation. I mean, we're probably gonna use that one. I'm gonna guess that one. That doesn't seem relevant. That doesn't seem relevant. And that doesn't seem relevant, so I'm gonna guess these three. Right? Yeah, I like those three can't be in with this. It has to be these three. Okay. Time Hunter Silkworm. Scaly Silkworm. That means nothing to me. Snoop around like this is dangerous. Chase forbidden truth. Poking around in a mystery not meant to be understood. All this does provoke the entity known as the Scaly Silkworm. Although Salil could see it directly, its piercing eyes were always on her. There's no self or body in the illustrations, so it's not unusual to be able to make out figures. At least maintain her physical appearance. In Salil's hallucination, that doesn't mean that other creatures do the same. The fact that the two were able to see each other in their actual likeness might have been a first, who knows? If a friend's appearance is dictated by one's imagination, who knows what would have happened to other beings who possess the power of imagination? Not all the Taoists in the book were wiped out. Perhaps their attempt to investigate things, they weren't supposed to attract quite attention from otherworldly beings. But when they went back in time, they finally saw the answer. So that must have been the catalyst for the alien species that targeted them. Does that mean Salil could be in great danger? I can't help but throw a glance. She's not strong, frail even. Easy prey for an overpowering demonic entity lurking around in the dark, waiting to strike. Humans have always developed tools and gone hunting, but there was no point we were ever the biggest physical creatures, not remotely. We weren't even as strong as we'd like to think. I highly doubt fists could do anything against a predator that doesn't even appear on this girl's food chain. Humans are at using tools that adapt in different environments. Deus to survive did so because of this knowledge they possessed. Chronicles of the Great Temple doesn't mention any way of dealing with this crisis. The second half of the book is full of random messy numbers. The authors explain them, and I can't make any logic behind them. Even just looking at these numbers, nothing my head hurts. What are they about? A sudden knock at the door interrupts us. Oh, it's, I forget your name. I forgot you was coming. Alas, help's here. Door opens without me having invited anyone in yet. Hello there. Is this the Ritz? Scarlet hastily steps aside. She sounded exhausted. These last 2 days must have done quite a number on her, sleeping around day and night, doing investigative work. And now, on top of that, running errands for me. Might you think it'd be okay to harbor someone who needs treatment here? The second I spoke alone is enough to kill anyone that's still breathing. It's Keon when she cared about my health. Did you bring it? Scarlet smiles and hands Salil a plastic bag. Salil's eyes wander over to mine. She looks confused. I wave a hand at her, indicating that's alright. This should just be what she needs. Wet patches with hot water and place them on the temples. Remove them regularly and wipe off any residue. Wait a little for putting on a new patch every time you change them. Put it on about 30 seconds, and then wait about 10 seconds and put on the next one. So, I'm doing this? Still seems a little overwhelmed by the instructions. Honestly, I think Scarlet's just plain professional doctor to gain Scylla's trust. But as she says, it's hard enough to get her here. She gave me quite, a sharp elbow to the ribs reminds me to choose a better time for my cheeky comments when I'm around Scarlet. So, Salil, was it? Give your classmate some of my medicine. Meanwhile, this guy and I have some things to discuss outside. Alright. Feel free to use the, water kettle over there. Okay, thank you. Salil bows in Scarlet's direction and then runs off to the bathroom, kettle in hand. He's really a polite kid. Scarlet whispers behind Salil's back. More polite than a certain someone at the very least. Don't you dare. I used about 20% of my power with that last elbow. What's to do with the air conditioning? You haven't been here that long, have you? Are you using this place as a trap to suffocate people or something? I don't pay the utility bills anyway, so it's fine. We can turn it on. At least while the girls are here. I shrug and follow Scarlet out of my room. I'm really thankful. It's great how quickly you managed to get the medicine. I didn't have much hope left. It's such a big crowded city. There's always demand. There's always some way to hit all kinds of pills. People working in law firm can't afford to slack off. Everybody can use a little pick-me-up every now and then. You just need the right connections. And I happen to know people. That sounds like a pretty gray area to me. Are you sure it's okay? Don't worry. It's genuine pharma stuff. Prescription grade. You can't die unless you munch down a whole bag at once. I'll take your word for it. You just didn't drag me out here to get some fresh air, did you? Scarlet leans on the railing, and there's a long moment of silence before she speaks. It looks like those two girls are very close, right? Yeah. Then I want you to carefully consider whether you tell Salil what I'm about to tell you. Oh, did you find out something new? Yes. And I'm worried about Salil's reaction to it. I can't help but admire Scarlet for this. She must work non-stop. Scarlet lets out a deep sigh. After reporting my findings to you, I went to the Young Artists Association. Is she Lisa or whoever that person was? Maybe. With all his documents, it wasn't hard to make up a reason to be there. And guess what? The association was never encouraging or promoting this thing. They actually find it troublesome themselves, and would have wanted to put things to rest quietly. So, how did it end up becoming a back-and-forth paperwork warfare? Scarlet shakes her disbelief.
Because Elise appeared at their doorstep and made them promise to thoroughly investigate the matter. She went there carrying her pain as well as a tape recorder. The director said that Elise politely asked him to advise and handle the complaint. No matter what he tried to say, she remained persistent and wouldn't give up.
So the director was impressed that he decided to relent?
It's not that simple. He didn't agree until the very end, and only reluctantly, because he had to.
I tried to guess what she meant by that, but I have a clue.
Elise stood there and threatened to kill herself. She was cutting into her wrist with a blade that she took from the art club. She placed tape recorder on the edge of the desk. The director was frightened and didn't know what to do.
I pictured the situation in mind, and Dylan is office, shaking behind his desk, and Elise standing there calmingly with a blade covered in blood. It reminds me of the feeling I had when she walked into the store. Her calm, quiet aurora emits a certain oppressive power.
Horrible thought, isn't it? An unassuming girl enters your office, and suddenly, that happens. Nobody will help me. This is the only way I can get justice from you. That's what she said to the director, while holding her up her bleeding arm.
Yeah, no wonder he agreed. Her choice of words is, interesting, isn't it?
With this kind of pressure on them, the school and the Cheers parents will have had to have worked together to find a solution. Personally, I think solutions are more complicated. At least, that's how it seems to me since I talked to our students. Anyway, that's what happened.
Have you checked with the association to see if they've made a final decision? I mean,
Nothing about Lily is directed to them, since the higher-ups have no intention of admitting anything. The association can do nothing more than apply pressure and protest.
So saving face before the schools is more important than actual justice.
According to them, the award's been withdrawn, so Elise got what she wanted.
So there's no longer a punishment effect?
That's right. It's over. Considering the circumstances, I'm not as happy about the answers as I should be.
What a mess.
Exactly. If Sula finds out about the predicament Elise was put in because of that art club, there's no telling what she might do. I don't blame Sula if she caused a ruckus. She's been through a lot in a very short time, and so now, I think Elise acted in a more calculated way than it seems at first.
If you cut your wrist without hitting an artery, it's a scary sight, that's for sure, but it's not enough to actually kill yourself. Well, duh. You hit an artery in your wrist, if that's even a thing. I'm taking a biology class in, 8 years, but... Yeah. Don't think you can kill yourself cutting your wrist. Maybe. I don't know. I don't think you can. Regardless. But how would a young student know that? Did she research it and plan it carefully? Or is she used to such violence? Either possibility makes a shudder. It's insane. This isn't something you ever take back. Some things haunt you for a lifetime, and are more than just a small strain in your resume. Society is cold, averting its eyes instead of lending a helping hand. There's nothing more done, but sitting around helplessly won't solve anything either.
Don't look so grim. We have to look on the bright side.
As I stand there in silence, Scarlet walks over to me and gently places a hand on my shoulder. Her words carry a certain weight. Whether she's working as a civil servant or as a lawyer, her daily tasks revolve around situations that originate from feelings of helplessness. This makes her words sound genuine. I stare at my collar and begin to ponder. I'm grateful for Scarlet and her kindness, I really am. Right now, the weight of the world seems heavier than usual. Well, we have to take all this into consideration. Scarlet? From what you've gathered, who do you think planned that attack on Salil? Huh? Scarlet freezes. I can tell whether my question or something that prompted her reaction.
Who knows? We don't have much time to go on about what Salil can tell us, have we? I can't do a lot with such limited information.
You're right. Her statement alone is insufficient evidence.
But let's not act if it's nothing at all. You know what? In cases such as these, figuring out the whole story can be even more shocking than the result. You have to take a drawer of attention to the past, finding the key that fits is enough. Salil shows us locked on the door, now we see I forgot to open it. Speaking of which, could it be Salil is more aware of the situation than she lets on, and is just afraid of confirming her suspicions? That thought makes me feel a little queasy. The question needs to be answered in the way. Who ordered the attack on Salil? I'd find out. Don't say that! I'm only this because I own you. After this is done, we're even. Got it? After this is done, we're even. Think about what Salil told me earlier. This is very serious. It's an actual crime. Whoever ordered it must hold a lot of power over the students to make them do such a thing. Salil is just an ordinary transfer student. Even if she had problems with people in the past, that shouldn't have affected the other students like that. That would mean that the person who locked her in holds no personal grudge against Salil, and was used as merely as a tool. The question is, what could somebody owe a person that was serious enough to commit such a crime? Are you referring to the cheating incident? There were two people who took a loss. Lily, who had to leave the school to study at home, and Elise, the creator of the winning entry. Wait, you don't think... My mind is racing. I respond to Scarlet directly, trying to hold off the train of my thought instead. Lily graduated before Salil enrolled at the school. This means everything that happened before then shouldn't have anything to do with Salil. Lily is no longer a part of the school. I mean, other students would have to carry out any favors for her. She wouldn't gain anything from either. Elise, on the other hand, nobody wants her side when the cheating incident took place. Throughout her arguments with the former student representative, people just stood by indifferently. If Elise then had an accident in which she was injured, many people with a very thick skin would feel guilty. In any case, just standing by and doing nothing was the same as abandoning her altogether. That's nice, but altogether. If I were in those students' shoes, I'd be most afraid to face the person I turned my back on in the past. I probably couldn't even look them in the eye. It sounds harsh, but at least as a student representative, and she has a reputation, students might go to extreme lengths in front of her, or for her. In other words, if she's a victim, came over and asked an onlooker to do something, it'd be hard for them to refuse. I don't like where this is going. Scarlet frowns and thinks about this, taking several deep breaths. She ruffles through her hair. I thought of it, but I have to admit that what you're saying makes sense. Don't give me that look. I don't like this one bit more than you do. My tone is harsh. Salil and Elise are really close, and I can see that. But why? Don't ask me. My answer is clear and concise. At least the person that the other students are most likely to be favors for. That is the logical conclusion, nothing more, nothing less. As for the why behind it, I have no idea. I hope we are wrong about our assumptions. Elise hasn't woken up yet, and there's a good chance she's going through the same ordeal that Salil had to endure. These demons from the illusion are still lurking around, as if everything weren't enough of a mess already. To be honest, I feel sorry for having complicated the situation even more with my theories. So what's the deal? Are you gonna be honest, Salil? Scarlet leans against the railing, staring at the moon's reflection in the puddles of water at her feet. I'll give it a few more days at least. Right now the poor kid probably go crazy if I told her. I'll look at the sky and let all these mixed feelings rush over me. Fair enough. I'll find a way to deal with this. I'll think of something. In the meantime, please don't mention to anyone, okay? Is it true? I shudder. It's the one voice I didn't want to hear at the very moment, yet here it is. With the lights as dim as they are, I can't really make out her facial expression. But even dark, I can see Salil's eyes tearing up. Is it true, Mrs. Star Manager?
Her voice trembles as she repeats her question, demanding an answer.
What you said just now. Is it all true?
Scarlet quietly walks away. Despite tough demeanor, she is not good at handling situations. Every time I try to open my mouth and say something, mine goes blank. I feel like a fish in dry land. Denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and finally acceptance. In the face of tragedy. One usually goes through the 5 stages of emotion, or 5 emotional stages. Right now, however, the only word to describe the emotion on her face is despair. Pure despair. Still turns, looks at Elise. Perhaps because she only just woke up, Elise's steps are quiet and irregular. Nevertheless, she looks composed, excluding her signature calmness. Elise responds to Salil's gaze with silence.
Elise? Elise, say something.
It's more replete than a question. Salil tugs at Elise's sleeve. Then her trembling legs finally give out, and she slumps softly to the ground. Elise leans down to help up Salil, with the same care and kindness a mother would give her daughter.
Little Salil, I'm so sorry.
Following her apology, Elise lets go of Salil's hands and rushes downstairs desperately. Hey! Her steps are closer to leaps, and she nearly falls as she breezes past me. Scarlet extends her arms to try to stop Elise, but she's too slow. Elise struggles to squeeze past Scarlet, who is knocked to the ground in an attempt to block the way. Elise soon disappears in the night after having made her way through the door. She never once tried to argue or explain herself.
Elise?
Salil is kneeling on the ground, powerless and small.
Why? Why?
How much did you overhear?
Everything?
Her fragility almost suffocates me. Everything, huh? I'm sorry. Salil looks into my eyes, and for a moment, I get the feeling that she's back in the world of illusions. She grabs my arm in an attempt to pull herself up. She's light as a feather, even as she puts her full body weight to my arm. I'm so sorry, but everything is pretty obvious now.
I'm happy to answer any questions I can help.
If even that was just part of Lisa's elaborate act. She's a perfect liar. Why did Elise, who is a victim of bullying herself, come after Salil, the innocent transfer student? I can't help but speculate about what Elise might have been thinking. Did I do something wrong? Is it my fault? Salil's voice trembling. It's not the right question to be asking right now, but no, I can blame her. No, it's not. We'll make mistakes in our lives, but kindness and tolerance aren't one of them. The mistakes lies with those who impose their own pain on you. Although I don't want to demonize Elise just yet, I have to choose my words just carefully around Salil right now. Once the heart has been scarred by betrayal like that, it can accompany you your whole life. Trying to forget about it only offers temporary sanctuary. Elise's behavior can never be forgotten in that regard.
Really? Is that really true?
I'm not sure if she understood my answer. She nods silently and walks away slowly. Hey, where are you going? I grab her by the shoulder. She turns around and bows to me, as she always does.
Thank you for taking care of me the past 2 days, Mr. Store Manager. I'm sorry I've bothered you so much.
She continues to walk after her apology. The girl resembles an empty husk more than a human right now.
Salil, you're not ready yet. Don't talk to Elise. Not until we get her back here to explain.
Okay. She doesn't bother looking back.
You don't have to waste your time looking for her. It doesn't matter. Wait, you ever did you? She did take it too far. Yes, we all do sometimes.
Salil speaks softly. She does sound convinced, as if the words come from her mouth are not her own.
I just like painting. That's it. I wanted to make friends, so I joined the art club. There's no sense in it if I can't even find a friend there. I won't be pranked and bullied by them anymore, and they'll stop bothering me. That's good for everyone, isn't it?
Salila starts to sound more composed. Her tone is calm, is so calm that it almost seems as if she isn't talking about herself. She already seems to have recovered slightly from the initial shock, speaking about the situation from a more distant perspective. Scarlet won't drop the topic that easily keeps questioning Salil.
You just gonna let it go? I don't care. I've already caused you enough trouble. No, you haven't. I don't understand. Aren't you angry at all? Being angry only makes you feel worse. And it wouldn't change anything. It's better this way. Will you let us find justice? Justice? For what? How would you even go about it? Don't give up on yourself like that. There's always a way. This is something I have no control over.
Syl looks at Scarlet with seriousness in her eyes that barely conceals the sadness behind them, like a veil.
I just have to learn and accept that this is reality. I've yearned for a close friendship, so I could trust. In the end, it was just wishful thinking.
Syl falls silent, her shoulders heavy with the invisible burden. Her silhouette slowly fades away. Shrinking by a second, she walks away. Like a candle, growing dimmer and dimmer. It's as if her tragic story is reaching a silent end. My mind is racing. 3 days of hard work. This can't be. This isn't how things are supposed to play out. There has to be a reason behind all this. Letting Salil know what Elise did is just the first of many steps. This isn't over yet. Also, something tells me that this isn't what the strange man who kept delivering books wants. It's no longer a question whether Elise is guilty or not, because... well, I have 4. Okay. It seems Elise is behind Salil's crisis in the classroom, but the situation doesn't seem that simple. Why would you do such a thing? I don't see that one's relevant at all. Because, like, I can see that one being used. That one, not really, but it kind of makes sense. And that one... yeah. I don't see how that one is used at all. Okay, good. Tables turned. You can't just give up now. I can't help but cry out. My words make Salil stop in her tracks. She looks back, her hazy eyes still brimming in tears.
Give up? I don't know what you're trying to say. How can you still be saying that I shouldn't give up?
Because we don't have a chance to help you in the future. Salil doesn't speak. Her eyes are red from the tears from trying to hold back more tears. Denial might be the only thing holding her together right now. I clear my throat and carefully put my thoughts into words. Many people have fallen victim to the art student representative. Her family was wealthy and influential. She had the world at her feet. Obviously, she's just a start at school as well. Nobody contradicted her at the art club, and the art club was her little kingdom of sorts. She was in charge. Take a screenshot of that as well. Alright. However, one person didn't play along, refusing the president's rude requests. Thus, she became a target for bullying. But the girl didn't let that stop her. She went to great lengths to have the last laugh. If only she could win an art competition, she'd rub it in all of those faces. Look at me, despite your efforts, I'm still a winner. She practiced a lot, but that wasn't enough. Her work was exceptional, but it wasn't a masterpiece yet. Natural talent was the last obstacle, for that's the only thing that can't be learned. The others wouldn't stop their bullying, so she was ready to do whatever it takes. At some point, she discovered lilac grass. I don't care you imagine, but that's not what I... How could it be you? Do anything that fits description at the least? All I do in my life is imagine things, but I've never done anything without a basis for my imagination either. If you don't know what went on at the art club 6 months ago, do you? So half a year ago, Elise really... Wait a minute, you mean she... Hallucination just gave her a certain liberation, enlightenment, after a taste of this utterly otherworldly experience, and she succeeded in creating paintings better than any the club had ever seen before. She submitted her piece Blossoms in art competition, filled with joy and pride, or pride and joy. She was so sure that even the best students from other schools would have nothing but admiration for her work. There is a long tear at the bottom left corner of the painting. Although attempts were made to glue back together, focus on it, you can still make out the damage that's been done. And that's the painting that was dropped accidentally. It's fixed now, just be careful not to touch it. Drop is too bad, blah blah. Her painting was to be placed first. When the time came, the prize and fame didn't go to her. At some point, the artist's name had been changed. She angrily confronted the student representatives to little effect. The students who knew the truth stand by the representative. In her depression, or her desperation, she decided to go straight to the board of directors and complain. After several twists and turns, they agreed to investigate the matter. With further schools and a field of fire, the whole thing became even more complicated. Have you even checked the association to see that they made a final decision? Nothing about Lily is directed to them, since the higher-ups have no intention of eliminating wrongdoing. The association can do nothing more than apply pressure and protest. So same face, we've already read this. No, I haven't read that yet. I'll read real quick. How the plan backfired. Largely due to the representative's parents and their influence, Blossoms moved the competition, but the representative faced no punishment. The girl can accept this outcome. The result in a violent dispute between her and the representative. She got her painting, ready to leave the place that had caused her such misery. In the argument, she accidentally fell down the stairs. At this point, the school could no longer turn a blind eye, and the student representative was forced to spend the rest of her senior year at home. Her position was given to the girl who had been injured instead, as if that was about service as service constellation. Despite all this, the girl felt no sense of justice, no honor, no proof, and no prize. Everyone buried the tragedy deep within their hearts. The painting was hung up on the wall, but no one dared talk about it. In the end, people acted like nothing ever happened. She was still so eager to prove her point, but her opponent was gone. It was a futile struggle. Having exhausted all her means, there was nothing left to do there was nothing left that she could do. The storm was over, and who would be willing to drive the troubled and reopen the wounds of the past? The girl was in a desperate situation. She had no hope left. So, what does that have to do with me? Because you're not her. She's always given up to a little too easily. Lisa's voice filled with concern. Although kindness is a virtue, if you never stand up to anyone, people will take advantage of you and consider you weak. Putting up like she does, another person might go unpunished forever. And
there will be another opportunity for justice. One does not get their justice. The other side doesn't learn a lesson. In the end, neither side experiences any personal growth. I think it's the worst possible outcome.
She probably sees herself in you. Although lack of skill potential is there, not a chance. Another fire of resistance. Unfortunately for her, you're not her. You don't want to confront anybody. You just avoid confrontation wherever you can.
Most people don't have good intentions. The students weren't happy that Celia was allowed to join the club. They considered it special treatment. That's why they bullies her.
I thought I was going crazy. No, that's just incorrectly grammared.
And that's why they bully her and took advantage of her. I hurried to help her finish the chores and told her that she didn't have to accept such unreasonable treatment. She just shook her head and said, "It's pathetic not cleaning up to yourself." Even though a lot of grass can help improve painting skills, it should be more than one of many tools.
The girl wasn't happy with how things turned out. She was so disgusted with the way things had ended that she turned a blind eye for revenge. If you're only a step away from success, would you choose to take that step or give up? If there wasn't enough pressure, why not shape events in a way that you could have full control over? This time, instead of trying to make friends, she played the guilty card to get others on her side. Her plan was successful, and this time she was more determined than ever. She took an opportunity to introduce students to success, something to let them enhance their skills. The first step worked out well. What she didn't expect was that you would see her fall down the stairs in your vision. But sometimes to start you off, you didn't give up and kept inquiring about it. This kept you up at night, fearing that her plan would be discovered. Her fear was justified. A week later, you began to start looking for excuses and avoid seeing her. Not only that, but you even found a former psychotherapist lurking in your quirky old bookstore.
Mr. Store Manager?
Everything was going according to plan. Thought of her efforts going to waste or went crazy. Even though the risks were high, she knew the boundaries when it came to securing her victory. And so she launched her most devious plan yet.
That's enough!
I fall silent and look at her.
That's not... It can't be. But at least she...
Tears finally flew down her face, fogging up her glass a little.
I don't want to believe this.
Still, I can't force you to believe anything. You're alone. You alone know the answer. This is all derived from the facts that we've gathered so far. I can't help but feel pity for a person that's so overtaken by hatred. What do you think? What would drive her to do something like that? Still lures her head. The mysteries between heaven and earth must not be spied upon, for the scaly silkworm shall look right back at us. I started the passage from an ancient book. You've already laid your eyes upon that mystery. Trouble follows. It's not exactly clear what the threat is, but you should not put your life in any more danger. Not just you, but at least as well. Her symptoms are already bad, and she won't be able to handle this alone. Hermitage values every customer. Since she's been here before, she'll always consider a guest. Even so, she'd never listen to me. You're the only one who can help her. Celia slowly but surely stops crying, but she keeps looking down at the floor without answering. Admitting this also means that Elise would have made some irreparable mistakes. Even if it can't be fixed now, the relationship can be the same again. Celia's very genuine and her person. The more I think about it, the more I worry that things are happening too fast.
If that's how it is...
She finally opens her mouth.
If that's how things are, she'll find a replacement for me for sure. Someone who is that spark she's looking for.
Celia speaks mine at last.
More and more students will be forced to face that horrifying monster because of the incense. Elise's obsession will continue and lead her down a dark and twisted path.
Celia's voice is growing more confident. She wipes her tears.
You're right. I need to try. She barely gives us a noticeable smile. A small ray of light in this depressed situation. I should go straight to her and sort this out. I'd rather clean things up than keep guessing. Scarlet bends down and readjusts Salil's outfit. You made up your mind? Yeah. It'll be alright. No, it's our voice. It'll be alright. And if anything happens, you call this guy. Okay. Do you even know where to find Elise? There's only one place she'd be. Salil keeps talking as she makes her way downstairs. After all, for better or for worse, there's the only place that students will be hanging out at. Her steps grow firmer with every stride, as if she's regaining her lost energy. Promise to be careful. We'll be waiting to hear good news from you. Salil now stands at the gate, turns around. She looks at us from a distance and bows her head. I can't thank you enough, really. With that, she walks away. There she goes. Scarlet says something just to break the silence. Quite an eventful day, if you ask me. If your definition of eventful is just a cute way of saying working tirelessly 3 nights in a row, I might could choose a less eventful lifestyle after all. Why's that? I thought you used to overtime. That's different. My regular job isn't psychologically challenging. But this little girl, she really needs our help. Look at you, showing genuine concern. Scary sight, but I do agree. Oh, you little. Scarlet rubs her temples and slowly breathes in and out, so she knows just teasing. Honestly, what's with young people these days? What's going on in those families? And the intrigue and backstabbing, betrayal of trust. Do you think that's what adults do? What a mess. All because these rascals I'm kept awake at night, and I'm wasting my beauty sleep on them. And workplace for your job you wanna file? Or is it because you're not getting paid? Just like that, she still doesn't stop stalking. Weston must struck a nerve, but she holds herself back. The expression alone makes it very clear that money is not the issue here. Throughout all the grief pain, we have to see our sights at the right cause. In some ways, I think Salil's kindness and positive attitude accompany all of us now. I'm fine, brother. I said I take good care of everyone, so something won't stop bothering me. Might not show it, but every time you talk about trouble, I can feel you getting more fired up. Scarlet ignores what I just said, but buries herself in the sofa, spreading her arms to the side. After working in the business for a certain time, there comes a moment when you start to put yourself in the shoes of a person. Properties taken by white-collar criminals, deception, greed, families broken apart. I know these people exist, I deal with them every day, but it still makes me sad. It's hard to accept reality. I sit down next to her. God, this will not stop. Oh my god. That's a good thing. It means you're human. If you say so. Scarlet tilts her head back to look at the ceiling across her arms in front of her chest. So about this monster. Let's just say it's an unpleasant matter. I think it'd be alright. I can't really say. I found some inspiration, but it's a very rudimentary. The author of the book describes how priests fall prey to the entity when massacred. The strange creature emerged from the shadows and almost slaughtered everyone present with its sharp razor claws. Although the author seems to have been spared, he didn't elaborate on how he escaped. We have to go about this another way. This stage play is my absolute favorite. The actors take their masks very seriously. Before they step on stage, they carefully take out the masks of its wooden box and hold it right in front of their face. They whisper to the mask that they're going to become a certain character. Imagine yourself and fully take over the spirit of the role. It's a respectable profession, don't you agree? His words echo my mind, but it all sounds oddly appropriate. Think about how all this makes my head hurt. At least things are a little clearer now. It takes some of the edge off. What's the matter?
Scarlet throws a puzzled look at me. I pat her on the shoulder and make my way back inside. Back when I moved here, I threw a lot of old stuff that I didn't really have any use for anymore. My old tape recorder, I keep that beauty. It's so old that most kids these days won't even recognize what it's for, but it's still useful as ever. I lift the old tape recorder and get rid of the thick layer of dust on the lid. What a mess. Pain can serve as a protective mechanism. If knowledge brings the same pain, should it really be sought after? So there's an old saying, when you help someone, help them see the whole thing through. I smile cheekily. So Scarlet, are you with me on this one? Salil is walking down the hallway. Open hours are long over, and the clubhouse is a silent night. It's dark, but she knows the place that she could well navigate with her eyes closed. Weird how you become so familiar with the place over time without really noticing. Ever since the day of her transfer, all she longed for was a warm, welcoming home. Today, that wish has been half fulfilled. Dark Club is dipped in darkness, and a familiar sight for Salil. Wherever no one else is around, the place serves as a safe haven for Salil and Elise. What happened here, Elise will never forget the memories. That's the way things should be. Salil. Elise standing there, familiar as ever. No matter how hard she tries, Salil doesn't feel pleased about it like she did in the past. Maybe store manager has something wrong, Salil's trying to tell herself. But he did everything he could to try to get to the bottom of it, although he never left the store. He always had her best intentions in mind. Salil can't possibly turn a deaf ear to what he's been saying. At least, never tried to deny it. But that's what caused Salil the most stress. However, she can't stop her thoughts either. It's like saying, if I could do it all over again, I'd do the same thing again. A few rays of moonlight light up Elise's outline. The unbearable silence weighs heavy on Salil. So, this is it. Nothing remains here for you for long, it seems. Elise still brushes the paint on the wall, her face buried in the surrounding darkness. For an outsider, the store's manager's instincts sure are sharp. Or it wasn't so obvious when I came... Or was it so obvious when I first came to the store? She sighs as if nothing matters anymore anyway. Elise, you're here now. Things can't possibly get worse. What do you have to say, Salil? Elise turns around and looks directly into Salil's eyes. From the outside, she's calm as always, but Salil knows her well enough to see through it. Elise has given up hope. The past is the past. There's something more important that I need to know about. Please answer me honestly, Elise. Salil takes out her phone and shows Elise's screen. Fortunately, in the classroom, she activated her stopwatch on her phone. What time is it right now? All she has to do is read the numbers on the screen. Yet Elise seems baffled and doesn't respond. She turns away, looking saddened by the second. I guessed as much. A wave of negative emotions overcomes Salil. Elise... So you've seen it too. After waking from one of her hallucinations, Salil experienced the exact same symptom. Even after she was free of those eyes, the memory is still trembling. Time didn't align correctly anymore. It might be a minuscule difference of 10 seconds, but the sequence of time is now completely mixed up for Elise. Looking at the wall clock, she can see the needle trembling frantically, as if unsure in which direction time is supposed to flow. This explains why Elise can't read time, even if she wanted to. Are you being targeted? Elise nods slowly. He was close behind me just seconds before I woke up. How much longer? About a day, I'd say. I see. Somehow, she could feel the entity's shadowy steps coming closer. Is this some kind of benevolent gift, pure luck, or a twisted hunting game for the shadow creature? Still doesn't have an answer for any of this right now. Let's run away. Together. She puts away her phone and grabs Luke's hands. Elise's hands are warm as ever, giving Salil a sense of familiarity.
No.
However, Elise refuses the kind gesture.
I deserve it. It's time to let it come for me. We have time for this, Elise. Do you even know how dangerous that thing is? Yes, I can feel it. Truthfully, I expect it to be worse.
Elise's words make Salil stop in her tracks.
Elise, what are you talking about? You know, that girl is always the worst at landscape paintings at first. Some people's spatial awareness isn't naturally keen. Even their basic skills are above average. Those kinds of paintings require perspective and knowledge. Or else they'll look off. If something is right in front of her, she could replicate it better than anyone else. But otherwise, she couldn't even get the pattern of the floor straight until the end of last summer. Suddenly, the teachers praised her advanced style. What do you think that was? Hannah?
I'm gonna say Emily. I know it's not Emily, but I'm gonna say Emily, because I have no idea how to say that. Amelia? Amelia. Never mind.
Hannah? Amelia? Faith? Evelyn?
One name after another leaves her lips. Although she doesn't know their faces, Lil has heard those names in our club before.
It's hard to find a true friend to talk to, isn't it? It shouldn't be. After all I've done, it's only natural that my punishment's severe. I messed up.
Elise raises her left hand, as if trying to touch Scylla's face, but stops herself at the last second.
Salil, you should go back. A store manager seems to know a lot of things, and he'll find a way to help you.
Tears from her eyes, but Elise's words remain firm.
You can stop worrying about me disappointing you anymore. Let's go back. Together. And what if I say no? Why would you? Your subjects are clearly right. I can't look at myself. I'm a rotten person. There's so much more you'll be able to do in the future. But it's best for everyone if my story ends here.
Oh no. Maybe this is Doki Doki Literature Club. Oh boy.
What are you talking about? Let's get out of here. We can talk more about it later.
Scylla grabs Elise's hands and tries to drag her out of the classroom, but Elise remains where she is and shows no sign of wavering. The harder Scylla tries, the more she feel an air of despair take over the room. There's fear in Elise's voice. As Scylla pulls on her arm, Elise's expression turns angry.
What's wrong with you? Do you think you're insane? Leave me alone. I'm not ready for this. You're not in charge here.
That scared me. It's nice to think before we act. First time in her young life, Scylla stops someone. Elise covers her cheek in surprise.
Stop saying you're ready as if it means anything. I know I'm repeating myself. I know I'm probably annoying you, but if that's the only way to get through to you, so be it. Salil. So you're sorry? You're just gonna leave things this way? How can you even think it like that? But it's only... Shut up! There's never just an only way. And am I angry? Of course I am. I hate this. But this is not the way. This isn't closure. Nobody wins.
Her throat hurts. She can't remember ever shouting this much before. It takes her nearly a minute to catch her breath, and that time, the only sound in the room is her strained breathing.
You know you won't forgive yourself easily, Elise.
Salil's voice is slower and more controlled now. A glimmer of light stands in her eyes.
I won't sugarcoat anything. I'm not gonna lie. After everything you've done, I'm unsure about the future. I don't know what to think. But what I do know is that you still mean a lot to me. Giving up here won't do anybody any favors. The Elise I know is smarter than that, stronger than that. The girl I know isn't shy away from a fight. She faces problems head on.
Scylla grabs Elise's shoulders. This time, Elise doesn't resist.
I'll talk to store manager tomorrow morning. I'll ask for help and find a way to deal with this. But it'll be dangerous if I'm on my own. That thing almost tore me to pieces a couple times while it was chasing after me. You should know how dangerous that is. So, I may get hurt, I may go crazy, or I may die. But I want to survive. I won't give up, and I want to live a good life and find some closure for you, as well as for me. After speaking her mind, she lets go of the stunned Elise and turns around, preparing to leave. Please, help me. Says his last words without turning and nodding. The once rebellious Elise looks at the door and slowly sinks into the corner. The night is bound to be a sleepless one. And that is where we're going to call this an episode here. Nope. We're saving. We're done. Oh boy. 6 hours. Jesus. I guess, yeah, it's been 136 minutes for that one day. Which is insane. Simply insane. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this episode of Hermitage here. Nobody's dead yet. And we'll see if anybody actually does die in this game, but good God, it feels like they will. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this episode of Hermitage here. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.